Welcome to our weekly 3-minute therapy podcast with me and Mick. I'm Dr. Michael Edelstein. I'm a clinical psychologist with a website, 3minutetherapy.com. And Mick Berry is my co-host and REBT expert, REBT, Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy, based on the theories of Albert Ellis, who has written over 80 books on the subject. And I've written one. Actually, I've written a few. I've written a few, but the main one is 3-minute therapy. And Mick and I wrote one on stage fright. Mick is an actor, so he's an expert on overcoming stage fright. REBT says that it's not situations themselves that causes our emotions and behaviors, but rather it's our thinking about it. And when we have disturbed emotions and behaviors, it comes from a particular type of thinking, and that is escalating preferences and desires into demands, musts, and shoulds. And if you have disturbed emotions, look for one of your musts. There are three main musts: a demand on yourself, I must do well and get approval; a demand on others, others must treat me well; and a demand on the conditions of life, my situation, the conditions of my life must go well. Mick, did you want to add to any of that?
Nah, sounds complete to me.
Okay, and today we're going to be applying REBT, Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy, to sleep and sleep problems. And I often work with clients who have sleep problems, and they have various musts and shoulds that tend to exacerbate their sleep problems. For example, I absolutely must get 8 hours of sleep. Perfectionism. I can't stand lying awake at night. I must not be exhausted tomorrow. I must fall asleep immediately. It's awful if I'm getting insomnia. And there are many more you might want to add to that, Mick. And all those must lead to sleep problems rather than help sleep problems. Mick, did you have any additions to any
Yeah,
of that?
that's a good question. I can't think of anything right now. I think the big one, at least for me, uh, though I don't really have much of a problem with it, but I have, and the big one was I can't stand not sleeping, or I know some people who have problems sleeping, and I can't just lie here and do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. So not only do musts about sleep lead to sleep problems, but as you're pointing out, Mick, can't stand it do. It's awful, terrible, and horrible. I'm not sleeping. I'm uh, a horrible person for not sleeping. Mick?
How is a can't stand it different than a must? Isn't there a must within the can't stand it of I must not have insomnia, or isn't that more or less just a different expression of the same thought? I can't stand insomnia, or is
That's a Yeah, that's a good question. And the answer is some people focus more on the must, but as you're saying, I can't stand it really is a form of an absolute. But other people I've worked with have thinking about their can't stand it's more meaningful. So it depends on the person. So in theory, there's not a difference,
I,
but with different people, different attacks, different identifiers of it may be different. Yeah.
And I think probably what people find useful is what the words are that they tell themselves most easily. I would think that
Yeah.
those clients that are saying, oh, I can relate to, I can't stand it, those are probably the words that they use more easily rather than I must not have insomnia.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And then there are also some practical approaches you can use if you have sleep problems, in addition to uprooting your MOS and Cant standards. And one is have a consistent sleep schedule. So try to get to bed at approximately the same time every night and get up at approximately the same time every morning. Uh, have a relaxing bedtime routine. For example, don't go for a run and then try to fall asleep. That might work for some people because going for a run might relax them, but for many people, it doesn't. And yeah, Mick?
And I was going to say one thing I have found that sometimes if I wake up in the middle of the night, I have assumed maybe I need to go to the bathroom, and I go to the bathroom, and lo and behold, I did need to go to the bathroom. Then I go back to bed and I fall asleep. But initially, if I wake up, then God, I'm not sleeping. Then I consider maybe I have to go to the bathroom. When I go to the physically go to the bathroom, then I end up doing what needs to be done, and then I go back to sleep. So I found that to be a practical solution to insomnia also.
Yes, and that comes under the must. I must have perfect sleep. If you get up in the middle of the night and use the bathroom, it's not perfect sleep, but as long as you don't worry about not immediately falling asleep again when you get back to bed, then you could still get good sleep. Also, another practical solution that I've had clients who find helpful is to limit screen time before getting into bed. Some people find that if they're on their computer right before they get to bed, they they find that it's harder to fall asleep. So that's something to be aware of. Also, uh, work toward unconditional self-acceptance, USA. Accept yourself unconditionally, whether you sleep well or you don't sleep well. In either case, you're just always an imperfect human who acts imperfectly. Yeah, Mick?
Well, I wanted to say something. Now I'm trying to remember what it was regarding um, waking up in the middle of the night. I would say that REBT can assist if we are aware of what our thoughts are, and that when we're lying there, if we would like to fall asleep, it's a perfect time to evaluate our thoughts and assess whether or not we're telling ourselves a demand, which is, of course, going to make us agitated. And I do think it's safe to say that a way to fall asleep is not to tell yourself, I must fall asleep. I don't think that's generally going to do it. And so I have sometimes uh, just told myself things like, everything's fine right now. My door's locked. I'm safe. Everything's good. And there's actually nothing to worry about whatsoever. So those aren't necessarily demand breaking thoughts. It's just pleasant thoughts that are relaxing. And so I think that relaxing thoughts rather than counting sheep can help us relax more. And one relaxing thought is, well, even if I don't sleep, I'm still resting by just lying here.
Yes, right. And some people who are fond of sheep, counting sheep might help. But
I mean, it might keep them awake if they're really fond of sheep.
yeah, exactly,
Um,
exactly.
I had something though I wanted to mention that I remembered about when you said perfect sleep. I have read, I assume this is true, it seems like it would be, that we wake up several times during the course of the night. We don't just sleep 8 hours beginning to end and then wake up. I've been told that we wake up several times. We just don't remember it. We'll wake up for a minute or two. And I can tell you with women that I have shared a bed with they will sometimes wake up in the middle of the night and tell me something, and bam, they'll go back to sleep. Usually, what they tell me is senseless, but but it's just I've seen people wake up in a kind of a foggy state and be awake for literally 5 seconds and then go right back to sleep.
Uh, Also, I wanted to add that some people have gone to a sleep lab where their sleep is monitored. And it's been found that sometimes people sleep, but they dream that they're awake. So simply because you think you're awake, that doesn't necessarily mean you're awake.
It's I've it was remind me of a joke by Rita Rudner, who said, "Yeah, I had a dream that I had insomnia and I woke up exhausted. It was really, really terrible." I think it was Rita Rudner. I could be incorrect, but
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Very good. Thanks for your participation, Mick. And if you liked this video, if you found it helpful, give us a thumbs up. Suggest subjects. We could use some more subjects to discuss, so let us know if you have a subject. Volunteer. From time to time, we have volunteers that to come on to discuss problems or to discuss clients they have that they'd like help with. Yeah, Mick?
I wanted to say one thing. I have experience. It's very funny in terms of dreaming. I've done REBT in dreaming. I've had a dream where there was some anxiety, and I've told myself, where's the demand? Okay, I don't have to have this. It doesn't have to go the way I want. And then I have a more pleasant dream. So that, that's just, I think, I've been practicing it for decades, so I could even do it in my dreams.
Yeah.
I don't have to do it in my dream. I could do it incorrectly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Very good. And as I was saying, volunteer if you'd like to be on and discuss a problem or discuss our theory. Anything related to RBT would be fine. And thanks, Chris Rossini, for our being our able tech engineer. And stay on the rush and and subscribe to the three. I was walking on your lines, Mick.
Yeah, it's okay because I was falling asleep when you said it.
Yeah, subscribe. Subscribe to the 3 Minute Therapy podcast to do what, Mick?
To stay on the rational side of life and sleep.